Fire Emblem Heroes has garbage menu design, and I literally talk about this every single time someone talks about Fire Emblem to me. Fuck the menus in Fire Emblem Heroes. I hate that shit. All my homies hate the FE Heroes menus. I'm gonna make a video on how much the FE Heroes menus fucking suck. Mark my words. Hi everyone, my name is Kaius. That's Kaius. You know, you say it with a K. Anyway, I wanted to tell the world that I've been having this weird, almost personal beef with FE Heroes lately, and I'm not exactly sure how to articulate it without tearing it apart in front of an audience of like, I don't know, 4 people. So what, the 4 of you may be asking, is this issue you have with the game? Could it be the overflow of new game modes that got unrefined for months, if not years? Well, no, I guess I don't really have a problem with that. Oh, what about the fact that as of 5.0 you can't even summon if you have in-app purchases disabled on your phone? Well, IS kind of admitted that that was an accident, but yeah, that was pretty bad. Oh, I know. What about the steadily declining environment or special heroes banners, wherein special heroes banners have become a shallow melting pot of completely random gimmicks to feign a sense of novelty in the banners, which ultimately result in banner types like Omega special heroes, which are actively asking players to settle for less when they can and have provided better summoning experiences for their player base in the past? Why are they like this? In fact, I'm talking about the— God, you saw the intro to this video, you know what it is, it's the fucking menus. The menus? But what's wrong with the menus? It has buttons, and they work. Well, if you like the way phase menus feel, that's okay. Have fun with them. Generally, I think FE Heroes does a great job at conveying information to the player, and the visuals, while simple, are like super impressive at times. But on the other hand, what's going on with these menus? I have found the menus to be nothing but a navigational nightmare, and I know I'm not the only one who feels this way about them. So it's weird that I feel like nobody's talking about this, so here I am talking about it. Hello. I don't even know where to begin with my problems with the menus, and I don't feel like saying they're bad over and over will result in a very entertaining and enjoyable video. So, you know, like most of my videos. Actually, you know what? Let's just begin with the allies menu. Why? Because this is the part of the menus I hate the most. Oh my god, does the allies menu suck so bad. Imagine you're a new player and you see this shit. Where'd I go? What counts as unit growth and what counts as equipment? Why are some of these menu buttons purple? Well, good luck knowing any of these things if you haven't been playing since 2017, because Learn with Sharena doesn't tell you either. You'd think that it refers to the functions that used to be in advanced growth from 1.0 through 2.5, but that's just straight up not true. Some features from advanced growth are featured in blue in these menus and not purple. The other reason I can think of is that it's used to denote which features use a currency of some sort, but what about level up and unlock potential then? It's just nonsensical. The actual reason is that these are likely used to determine a new set of advanced growth functions, but having them stand out at all without actually explaining why they do is just weird and leaves more questions than answers, and that's only one of my problems with the allies menu. Navigating between these menus is such a dismal experience, especially if you're looking to do multiple things at once. If I want to jump between menus, it should be a lot quicker than 2 taps that each build up to 2.3 seconds at a time. And that's if you're doing it on a fast device that runs FE Heroes smoothly. Even just using these features takes a lot of menuing. It feels like they're trying to gatekeep foddering. It's needlessly arbitrary and weird, and I sometimes just don't play FE Heroes because I don't feel like menuing for 15 minutes at a time just to build one unit. In my opinion, there should be arrows at the top of the menu that switch between the menus within that category in one tap. At least then congregating all the menus into categories would also have some function. With the amount of menus there are for unit growth and customization, some kind of smooth transition between them almost feels required at this point. Especially when other mobile games which provide less options for unit growth are doing it. Why does fucking Hosamo have this feature while Heroes doesn't? Why does an indie developed fan service game provide better menu navigation than the massive property by one of the largest media companies in the world? Oh my god, I'm getting ahead of myself and I haven't even finished ranting about the allies menu yet. So here's a grab bag of other problems I have with the allies menu that I don't really have a way to cohesively fit into this segment. Why are learn skills and change skills buttons sometimes just not there when you view the detailed unit loadout? Why couldn't you view the detailed unit loadout within a detailed unit loadout? I assume this is just so you can preview skills that you're about to clip, but it seems redundant. Why is inherit skills search function, you know, like this? Speaking of learning skills, it's such a slog. They really should allow you to manually learn multiple skills by now. Sure, auto-learn is a thing, but it's not guaranteed to give you the skills you want. That being said though, if you learn the tier 1 version of a skill, equip it, and then hit auto-learn, you can learn that specific skill all the way up to the highest tier available to you. But that seems more like a life hack you'd chance upon in the FE Heroes subreddit rather than information that is actually conveyed to you by the game itself, so I think my point still stands. Anyway, that's enough about the allies menu, because honestly, I'm starting to exhaust myself just thinking about it. Let's talk about every other menu. The summoning menu is fine. The menu's quality correlates to how many banners are on at once. They really should bring up a little drop down or something that lets you quickly jump to a certain banner, because if your banner is sandwiched between 5 others on each side, it's absolutely dismal to get to it each time you log in. Here's a diagram I made that simulates how these correlate. As for the shop menu, it's surprisingly the most well thought out menu in the entire game, or unsurprisingly, depending on how cynical you are. Everything is where it should be, there isn't a lot of clutter, everything feels concise. I think the last thing I have to talk smack about is the battle menu. It's a mess. Like, sure, main story paralogs and tactics drills should be here in the main story menu. The main story and paralog are story maps, obviously. And putting what's basically FEH's tutorial on the menu that players are going to visit first is a pretty good idea, but man, they really put heroic deals here. I guess it's because they don't know where else they could have put them. If I were to put them anywhere else, it would be in the special maps section, right next to rival domains and special training, both of which I'd move to the top since they're permanent game modes and should be easier to access. Multi-map battle suffers the same problem as the allies menu, where it's arbitrarily purple, but at least it's in story mode. Like, sure, whatever, contextually now you at least know that the purple means this content is hard, but it still feels really out of place. I guess as not to cut out the story maps menu, they put Chain Challenge, Squad Assault and Blessed Gardens in here, but if you were to ask me where to put them, well, if I already had ordeals in the special maps section, I'd probably just put Chain Challenge and Squad Assault in the story maps menu. And Blessed Gardens, man, I don't care. I don't particularly like to think about Blessed Gardens, frankly. Speaking of going through the maps, it's not a huge nitpick, but I think it would be nice if they were to add the button from the teams menu that lets you swap to a different team faster to the battles menu somehow. I guess screen space would be an issue, but finding a way to add it would save a lot of time. Colosseum also does this purple mode thingy, but at least it's consistent with its sister mode, Squad Assault. And it also at least clarifies that it is quote-unquote designed for advanced players. Not to be nitpicky, but I feel like these modes shouldn't have these long descriptions anyway, because you could easily fit all 4 modes on the screen at once if they didn't. But whatever, if they end up deciding to slide Aether Raids and Mjolnir Strike into the Colosseum section, it would be a moot point to make anyway. As for the events, there isn't really much you can do to change this, so whatever, I guess it's fine. FE Heroes has a lot of event types, too many some would argue. Back to the story maps and paralogs themselves. For the bread and butter of FE Heroes' content, they feel weirdly hard to get to, especially the main story, and it's a problem that only seems to get worse with every new story chapter they add. A really simple solution to this would just be to add a little button on the bottom of the home menu that's like, new story chapter, or new paralog, or something. Maybe it's part of the slider at the bottom of the screen, which advertises literally everything else the game ever releases anyway. I don't know. I think that at the very least it's a change that wouldn't upset anybody. In conclusion, I don't necessarily feel like FE Heroes doesn't care about the way the game is presented. It does! They have made quality of life changes to the game regarding this in the past, and certain things have been made easier. But I feel like a greater effort needs to be put into making sure the menus are consistent, concise and easy to navigate, because even though they're pushing out a quality of life menu change every now and then, I think there needs to be a bigger change all around, especially to the allies menu, which I'm honestly in favour of straight up overhauling. I really thought that 5.0 would come with some sort of fixes to these problematic menus, but instead it decided to break Aether Raids even harder for some reason. Like, this update is so big, it better give me a head. Oh. But that's all I've got for you today. I love Fire Emblem Heroes. I just kinda wish that I didn't feel like the menus literally hated my ass. I don't do scripted videos like this often, but it's sort of a New Year's resolution of mine to put out some more high effort content. So if you like this video, please be sure to interact with it. Like it, leave a funny comment, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe too. A high percentage of my viewers don't actually subscribe to the channel, but it really does help out to click subscribe and support the channel, and maybe ring the funny little bell if you're feeling a little extra spicy. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter, where if you catch me on a good day, I might post one video update. And with that, I'm gonna, I don't know, what's on the agenda? I guess I'll fucking eat baby wipes or something. Bye!